We've got Olivia, she, her, out in Texas, wants to talk about the inerrancy of the Old Testament. Hey, Olivia, you are talking with Secularity and J. Mike. What is up?
Hi, I think this is a great topic. So I don't know. It's kind of broad, huh? But yeah. I'm glad to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much. We're glad to have you, and we are gonna try and be nice and kind and pleasant and so forth. We just had to take care of an asshole just a minute ago, so I'm sorry you had to go through that. But Olivia, I have a question.
I heard him and that was rude. You had the appropriate response.
I mean, right? He was rude, right? Okay. Anyway, Olivia,
he was rude.
When you say the inerrancy of the Old Testament, does that mean to you that everything that is written in the Old Testament is factual, is correct?
Well, here's how I have to look at it before I answer that question. Meaning that if I accept more than say 5% of it as true, then I kind of have to accept all of it as true. Right? So there's a threshold where I go, oh, crap, I actually think this is true. So then I must accept. It's kind of like a binary, like digital cable where it's either on or off.
Why, if you accept 5% of it, why does the rest of it have to be? Is that true for all of, there's 5% of the Bible, I think, where it says something about God being like a mother hen. And it's in Psalms. It's a poem. It's probably not literal. It's probably being metaphorical here. But if we accept that 5% is true, why would the rest of it have to come along?
Are you just weighing the 5%?
I don't mean it like that necessarily. I mean that however we're supposed to interpret this document, meaning certain parts are literal and certain parts are metaphorical, that's for people outside of myself to quite understand. But what I really mean is that it's a self-referential set of claims to speak for a deity. And once I start accepting any portion of that really, and I start going, oh, crap, there's some things I think are true, I must really go, oh, then God spoke it, it's true. Or else I'll go to hell and be tortured.
Okay. I'm actually curious, SR, how you want to handle this. If we should talk about the percent of the content of that percentage is, or what, or on your point about why would you accept the additional 95 even if we granted the 5%?
Yeah. Go whichever way you want to go with it, man. Please. Yeah, I think both are good routes.
Yeah, I was that's why I wanted to ask, because I'm I can't really decipher. But yeah, so I'm curious about a couple things, and then I guess me and SR can play back and forth on these two kind of points here, which is one is what is the, I guess help me out, what is the content of that 5%? I know you're kind of just putting a little small number on there.
Well, 5% is a made up number. I just
I'm assuming that.
But what is the actual content of that?
Evangelical Pentecostal. And the things that they told me that would come true when I was a kid are true now. And
which one thing?
You know what? We're at the end of the world. It feels like the end of the world.
Hold on, Olivia. I have to pause you real quick, because I have this thing where if I hear some information and you're going on to something else, I have to know what it is. What was the content? I already understand that people have told you these things, they came true, but I don't know what came true, right? So what was it that was revealed to you in the Bible, that was told to you, and that it ended up coming true?
I never read the Bible. This is what I heard in church.
But then how do you
people of authority?
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So you haven't read the Bible, then how do you? Yeah, but then how do you? So you trust somebody of authority, which is just a fallacy of this is just an authority fallacy, right? If you think that this authority,
that's what we're all doing, though.
No, we're not. Yeah, I don't just accept a claim that J. Mike gives me, even if it's something as mundane as.
Let me give you a claim.
Yeah, give me a claim. Hang on, Olivia.
I'm gonna show you how this works, right? This is why me and SR, because I haven't even talked to SR about this, but I predict that we're gonna be on the same page here. Hey, SR, I have this awesome thing called a biology book, and it says in chapter 13 on this page that evolution is true.
Oh.
Do you believe it just because that this says that, and I'm also some authority that thinks it's true?
No,
Well,
even
I'm
if
the
you
authority
had
presenting it to
five,
you.
even if you had 5 PhDs, J. Mike, just the fact that you are telling me this statement, or the fact that you're pointing to this book alone that says the statement, is not sufficient evidence to accept that evolution is true. Thank goodness we have a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, we can go look. Like, what we would do is we would go, oh, okay, SR, you don't believe me, so let me take you to like a population, or let's actually go study biology. Like, we could actually show you like literal evolution occurring. And then he goes, oh, you know what? The claims that were said in chapter 13, those are true because I can independently verify those things, right?
Does that make sense, Olivia, as to why when you say like we're all just kind of doing that authority thing and just accepting it, like J. Mike and I are pushing back on that real hard. Does that distinction make sense to you?
It does, but I will notice that you used science books and not the Bible to push back. Because
but we didn't use but we didn't use really science books. What we used is evidence and data. What we used is information that was independently verified by multiple sources. J. Mike brought up the science book. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought up evolution, because that will.
That's a tough one. But
you'll get fixated on that, and that's not the point. The point is not evolution.
Right. The point. So if J. Mike had said, hey, Elliot, I've got this book that shows airplanes can fly. Do you believe that airplanes can fly? I would say no, because the book alone making that claim is not sufficient. What we need is other information. And it's not some scientist that comes along and goes, yes, I figured out Bernoulli's principle. No, it's not that. It's Bernoulli's principle. It's that the mathematics works out time and time and time again. We say, man, if I have this water bottle and I do these things to it and I throw it off a cliff, it's gonna fly. And then it flies. That's what we use. It's not the authority figure. Is that fair, Olivia?
That is fair. But here is my counterpoint.
Okay.
When I was a kid in evangelical church, there was a set of prophecies that were going to come true. And that is Russia's going to have a war, and Israel's going to have a war, and China's going to be our enemy. And that if I ever become a girl,
that's prophetic,
and everyone's going to hate me.
That's prophetic.
Every single one of those things came true.
That's not prophetic. I could have told SR that like in the 90s.
The future's going to happen, and it did happen.
But all of those things have happened before now. All of those things have happened before 2024. Like, what was it? Was there a time frame on this, or was it just in perpetuity until the end of time? Like, from this point on, way back in the 19 whenevers, like just eventually at some point, China's going to hate us, and Israel and Russia are going to engage in warfare.
Well, it
but
certainly seems like World War III. Like,
it's not any different now than it has been for the last 20 to 30 years in a bunch of different metrics. There's nothing that is specifically fascinating about today's time period in terms of the stability or lack thereof in the world. Like, it's not as if more volcanoes are going off in some absurd capacity or anything. We're noticing a generalized trend for hundreds of years that, yes, 200, 300, 500 years ago, sure, some of these natural disasters weren't happening as much. Absolutely. But like, that is something that we've been cataloging for a really long time. It's a slow, gradual change. It's like
there's a literal nation state called Israel from the Bible. Doing things that they told me they were going to do. But Israel
has existed since the 40s. So why all of a sudden in 2024 does it dawn on you that is a confirmation of a prophecy? That's all I'm trying to get at. It would be like, Olivia, it would be like, hang on, Olivia, it would be like me saying to you, hey, if God is real, you're going to get a blue car, and then you go out and you buy like a Kia Sorento that's blue, and then like 6 years later when the engine screws up on you, you go, oh my God, it's confirmation of it's just odd to me. It's just weird that you're picking now
I've never
as the
had
confirmation.
so many of my friends
Also, none of what you're taking is coming from the
before.
Bible.
Yeah, none of what you're. Yeah. Say that again, J. Mike. That was
so
good.
Many atheists justify a theocracy before.
Hold on.
This is weird.
This is really what's really
hold
important, Olivia, is that you're talking like about what some people said, and none of that content. There's no proposition in there that says anything remotely like what you think was to come true. So it's not clear to me, like, especially from the Bible, if we're talking that, and you haven't read it, you're gonna have to like take my word for it and other people's word for it that it doesn't do that. What you should do, right? This is the theme, Olivia. You're selling yourself short. You could be a rational believer potentially. You could call in and show us this. But if you haven't looked at the Bible, you haven't like read the content and like done some type of like, adjudication on like whether or not it's justified or not. If you haven't done that process at all, how do you expect me or secular or
wrong?
Hold on, we're not talking about genocide. We're talking about reasons to come to.
I am talking about a genocide.
Well, stop talking about that and start talking about the reasons to believe the things that you say you believe, because apparently you believe something that is written in a book. You didn't read the book. Now that's okay, Olivia. We all do stuff like that. But what we're trying to say is, if you value truth, if you are intent on understanding and accepting claims that have a connection to the real world around us, just take a few seconds and listen to what we're saying, because we think, based on your criteria even, you're probably going to find some flaws in this connection here. So give J. Mike a second, let him just say his piece, and then if you really disagree with it, we'll give you more time. So go ahead, go back to what you were just saying, J. Mike. That was good. Yeah. You're selling yourself short on this when you want to like not go and do an investigation yourself, right? Justify to yourself that you know this. You have some tool. Like me and Scott in the back were talking about this, about people who like, it's hard. There's certain types of conversations where it's really hard to progress because fundamentally the tools that you're operating with are flawed, right? If you have that kind of view, why don't you listen to the drunk guy at the bar telling you conspiracy theories? What separates that? Presumably there's something in mind, right? You have something like, well, you trust these people, you've grown up in that, but are those good reasons, right? I've grown up in a family, but imagine my family just got everything wrong. If they're watching, I'm not saying you get everything wrong. I'm just saying, but imagine I grew up in that family. I trust them and they told me all this wrong stuff, right? People grow up in families all the time with trusted people and they steer them in the wrong direction. And, this was something that Jason and I talked about in Texas, was just that these are the same people that are, telling you to look both ways before you walk across the street. They're giving you like really solid advice in some cases. And so you attach to that. But now you have to do the work yourself. Now you have to look inside Olivia and go, do I have good reason to believe this? And what harm would I have if I just fucking look for just a fucking second? Like what it just confirms it, or better yet, it doesn't confirm it. And now I get a more defensible position than I currently have now. And so all that long-winded, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try this just to show you that someone like myself or SR really likes to read like, these types of like the literature within this debate, right? Whether it's philosophy or whatever. I'm just going to try this on you. Okay. You've told me that you haven't read the Bible. You get this from authority. So you have some type of fallacious reasoning. You haven't justified the content. You don't even know if the content says that. All right. Prophecy rejected. That's it. There's no reason for me to believe it. There's no reason that you should believe it.
Well, hold on. That's only if you accept prophecy based on some book of authority, not just based on my word for it.
You can't even say, Olivia, you can't even say it comes from the book. Right. You don't even have the right to say that. You've told me.
Right. I don't know. What I'm saying is it came from a church.
Right, but why is that an acceptable reason for you to say this is true, this is correct, even if they were right? Let's say it was super duper specific, okay?
That is why I'm saying it's true, by the way. I was
because they were right.
Time, and now I'm saying this should.
Olivia, hang on. I just want to be clear. You're saying because it turned out to be right, that they gave you a specific prophecy. Let's just give you all the toys, very specific time frame, very specific way that it could be answered, not all this vagary and whatnot. That prophecy was answered. And so because of that, the Bible is true? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is exactly
But that doesn't make any sense based on even your own understanding, Olivia. You literally just told J. Mike, you agreed with J. Mike that it doesn't come from the Bible. So if it doesn't come from the Bible, how are you making this connection?
This is a tacit connection based on my own fear and insanity from growing up in a cult. I don't believe this shit. I'm just saying they told me a bunch of stuff that came true, and now I'm afraid it's all true.
Okay, well, let me help. Let me help, Olivia. Let me assuage your fears. The conclusion that you have come to is based on very, very well-known poor reasoning. The likelihood of that argument being true is so paltry low that you don't need to be afraid of the dragons that might come and eat you one night, because dragons don't do that, and they don't really exist to begin with. You don't have to be afraid of this. You don't have to be worried about this. Please reach out to some wonderful, wonderful people at like Secular Therapy Project and Recovering from Religion. It is not just for folks that don't believe anymore, or people that have gone through, you know, intense trauma or anything. Not saying that that's where you have come from or anything, but hang on just a second, Olivia. I'm almost wrapped up, I swear. But truly, I want you to hear this. The reasoning that you are using to come to that conclusion that these prophecies are true, and that fear that you have that the rest of this crazy stuff might be true, no, be confident in this. That reasoning is flawed, and you cannot trust that conclusion. And so the fear that you have about the rest of this stuff being true is not founded. Do not worry. You do not have to be afraid of that anymore. This is poor methodology, and you can get out of that fear. And again, I truly, truly say, give Recovering from Religion a call. They're a phenomenal resource. I'm sure you can find the links in our chat, because we have great moderators, and in the description and stuff too, because we have wonderful, wonderful crew. J. Mike, is there anything else you wanted to say before we grab another call?
No, I mean, I just would just elucidate on the point that the reason why it's flawed is from what you've told us. I mean, I would go back and listen to the call. Yeah. You know, it's not clear that like the content even comes from the Bible, but you believe these people, and these people could be pushing whatever narrative. By the way, the content that you think came true isn't like impressive, like at all. Like the fact that we have like, I mean, I don't know what the specific prophecy was, right? But like, presumably it's pretty vague. It's not like you have these like, it's going to happen at 2:34, this missile attack here. It's not going to be very specific. And I think if you, in the future, if you get some kind of prophecy thing presented to you, to like really press them, what's going to happen on this day? What might I be wearing? Right? Like if they just all of a sudden can't check off these kind of things in there, and they're just trying to rest within vagueness, then they've ensnared you, right? All con men need to do is ensnare you in that little bit of vagueness, right? That little bit of the rest of the world will tell you you're crazy, but just listen, trust the process, right? All of that is like in the con artist playbook. That's how people in the self-help section constantly get people's money and ruin really good authors who are actually trying to help people, you know, because they want to ensnare them in some really weird spiritual guru nonsense.
Yeah. Totally, man. Olivia, free yourself up from that anxiety and worry, and give yourself some peace, because you can rest easy. That conclusion is unfounded. So the rest of it is too. Thanks so much, Olivia. We're going to drop you. We're going to let you go. Thank you so much for that call. Seriously, I loved the crap out of it. I thought you were absolutely wonderful. And give us a call back in the future, by the way.